Do you ever think about your future and where you'd like to spend the most time as you get older? And the most important question that comes to you is, how can I get there? If you're seeing this video, then likely you've heard about what a great investment self-storage can be, so you start looking into it. You spend hours learning about self-storage and you start to glean some great advice, but also you identify some major issues and questions that you need to answer. If you're brand new to this industry, you may be hearing and seeing so much information that you're feeling confused, frustrated, and maybe even ready to pull your hair out. Well, let Universal Storage Group help you navigate these waters to help fund your future paradise. Though we recently unveiled our new branding and look, Universal has been around for over 30 years, providing fewer headaches and higher income to our clients, trust and peace of mind to our storage customers, and education and improved quality of life to our amazing team members. Our services include award-winning full-service management, award-winning consulting services, award-winning manager and owner training, and award-winning developmental services and feasibility studies. When we say what we do for you, we really mean it. At Universal, we are a family looking out for one another from the bottom up. We feel that being the biggest has never really been our goal, but being the best, well, that's what drives every member of our team. With Universal, you just get more. Check us out online at universalstoragemanagement.com or reach out directly by emailing sales@universalstoragegroup.com. We're ready when you are, because what we do for you.
In a world where brand experience is paramount, upholding your company's standards demands unwavering consistency in every location. At the SBOA, we understand the critical role consistency plays in driving your business's success. That is why we joined forces with MSI to introduce a revolutionary internal audit program tailored to meet the specific needs of your organization. Our game-changing audit program leverages cutting-edge technology and expert insight to bring you unparalleled accuracy and reliability. We know that success in this competitive environment is paved with adherence to operational requirements, and every company has its own standards along with state and local regulations to adhere to. So we've made our internal audit system completely customizable, all in a user-friendly app. The app enables on-site agents to collect real-time data and insights from their respective locations. This feature ensures that information is up to date and allows for quick responses to any issues or challenges that could arise. Our internal audit program also has advanced photo and video reporting capabilities. These visual reporting tools allow leadership to visualize non-compliant sites and gain a comprehensive understanding of the issues, with specific examples for clear context, which enhances communication and leads to faster resolutions. And it can be done with just a few clicks and the snap of a photo or quick video. And our program provides an in-depth understanding of each store's performance and challenges. This feature allows for a comprehensive assessment of how well each location adheres to operational requirements and brand standards, helping to identify areas for improvement. Are you ready to take your self-storage business to the next level? Explore our comprehensive suite of services, including internal audit programs, mystery shopping, and unlock your full potential. Contact us today to embark on a journey of excellence and success. 248-254-9000.
Are you a self-storage owner or operator looking for service providers to help at your facility? Well, the Storage Business Owners Alliance, also known as the SBOA, has you covered. The SBOA is the premier online hub for connecting self-storage owners and operators to industry-leading products and service providers. We provide one-stop shopping for your business with exclusive offers to save time and money. At the SBOA, we believe by coming together, we help owners and operators grow revenue, gain purchasing power, reduce expenses, improve efficiencies, and increase profitability. We also offer many resources such as our conferences and self-storage unlock webinars to help self-storage owners and operators gain the knowledge needed to become more competitive in the industry. To become an SBOA member or to find out more information, please visit www.thesboa.com today. We can't wait for you to join the Alliance.
Good morning, self-storage industry, and welcome back to the SBOA's Self-Storage Unlocked webinar series. We have a really great one for you today. It's called From Trees to Keys. It's everything you need to know about facility development. And we have the USG, Universal Storage Group trifecta of ladies with us today, so I'm so happy to have them back. But before we get started, just a couple quick housekeeping items for you. If you want to chat with us while we're live today and ask questions, please do that over in the chat. Some people are already saying hi and where they're from this morning, so go ahead and put your name and where you're from over there in the chat section. And again, if you have questions for the ladies today, that's where you're going to want to ask those questions. We are going to ask a couple poll questions throughout today's event. So when we ask those poll questions, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment and looking at those poll questions and answering them for us, it just helps us to get to know you a bit better. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Jackson. I'm the president of the SBOA. We've been in the industry now for a long time. And as you just saw by that video for Storage for Rookies, that is our educational training program for new or newer owners in the industry. We had our third session yesterday. Session 4 is in a couple weeks, followed by session 5 a few weeks after that for our first group of students that are going through this coursework. If you want to join that, you still can, because we've recorded sessions 1 through 3 for you, and you can watch 4 and 5 live, or you can wait until we bring in students for Group B, which will be happening again in the next couple weeks. So follow us through our Instagram and Facebook and social media accounts, or subscribe to join our newsletter. All of that information about that program is put all over our social media and within our newsletter that comes out every single Tuesday into your mailbox. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to bring up the ladies from Universal Storage Group one by one. Oh, well, nope. Sorry, that was my fault, Iris. Iris on the back end. So sorry. We'll just go roundhouse and we'll have everybody, introduce who they are. I'll start with Lou, because Lou is to my right. Lou, tell me all about you and how long you've been working for USG.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for having me. My name's Lou Barnholt with Universal Storage Group. I've been with the company for about 24 years in a variety of different roles, but currently serving as Vice President in Sales and Development. So I really enjoy going to all of the shows and getting to meet all of you folks and, giving out some educational seminars and handling the consulting clients within our group as well. So thanks again for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today.
Thanks for being here, Lou. All right, next up is Stacy. Stacy, tell us all about you.
Hey, folks. I have been in the industry working with Universal for 23 years. Just after Lou got on board, I came on board as well. I started out in the field like Lou did, and we both have serve many roles. Currently, I'm Vice President of Marketing and Training, so I head up our training department and our marketing departments, helping our stores achieve their goals and get those leases in the door and close those sales. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for having us again.
Yeah, we're happy to have you guys back. And last but certainly not least is Miss Ann Ballard. Ann, tell us all about you. And you've been around for quite some time.
Yes, I think I might be the oldest woman in the storage business, but I started Universal Management Company now 31 years ago, and we have since morphed into Universal Storage Group, and after a merger about 13 years ago, and it's been onward and upward, as these ladies know, ever since. Sort of like Mach 2 with our hair on fire, as the company has grown and the industry has grown, and we've all had many wonderful experiences learning about the secrets of developing successful storage properties and making sure that they lease up well and operate well, and that we have not left any rock unturned when it comes to what needs to happen in our planning stage. So I guess that's what brought us all here today.
Oh, you're muted, Jess.
You know, how many years have I been doing this series? I still stay muted sometimes. Yeah, and no, that was a great segue into what we are going to talk about today. We are going to talk about everything related to facility development. I love the title of this, From Trees to Keys, full cycle, how we would go through development. We have a lot of newer owners and operators coming into the self-storage industry. We interact with them all the time at the SBOA. So we thought that this would be a really good, relevant topic for you all today. And no better group to present this to us than USG. So I'm going to bring this slide deck up. These are just some questions that USG, when they are looking into development, goes through. So we'll go through this one by one. And if you guys have questions again for the speakers, please go ahead and put those in the chat area. So who wants to kick us off here with this?
I'll be glad to if you want me to, Stacy.
Yeah, do it.
Well, we got this wonderful quote from Trees to Keys many years ago from David Dixon as we were working on more and more new development projects. So to summarize it for one of our clients, he said, well, we take you from trees to keys. So, it's been, as I said, very interesting. And we have won 13 now, Stacy, Facility of the Year awards for our clients, more than any other management company. And I have to say, 6 of those I designed myself. So I'm very proud of those. And, making sure that you think about all the attributes of a property before you move the dirt. It saves you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we spend, as Lou is now learning, lots of time working on the paper and the layout and the topo and the product mix and all of those things that we're going to talk about today before we let the client get started. Or that's usually our goal for them, is to work the details out before we start moving dirt around.
Yeah, I love that we're on this topic. I met a friend the other day that has some property, right? And you got to love when people have property, it's commercially zoned. And he's like, you're in self-storage, right? Yeah, I'm in self-storage. I want to put a self-storage facility here. I'm like, okay. He's like, have you done any research about it? No, but it's going to work there. And I'm like, but is it going to work there? So we'll definitely be talking about what makes it work versus what doesn't make it work. But I chuckled when he said that, because he was very confident, but he had no background or due diligence knowledge to even prove that his confidence level was accurate, let's say. So let's kick in here. And this leads us in, and this is exactly what I said to him. I said, have you had a feasibility study done yet? Well, no. I'm like, well, that's step 1. So let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, I'll jump in here. If you're investing millions of dollars into a project, it would really behoove you to just spend a little bit of money and do some research to make sure that you're going to get a return on your investment. So the feasibility study is really going to give you an assessment of the demand in that market, analysis on the existing competition, knowledge about any new properties that are in planning or zoning. It's going to give you that cost benefit analysis, with a full 5-year pro forma, so you know how much money you're going to make. Again, the return on investment that you're going to have, operational planning, as far as layout and design of the property, and giving you a true unit mix for that facility, and giving you items that are going to work in that market, or things that market is in demand for, that you're going to have a good, better, quicker lease up rate on the property, right? Anything you have to add to that, Anne?
Yes. And, in our industry, as we've watched this morph through the recent decades, there are a lot of offerings out there for someone new getting into storage. And what Jessica mentioned is something we call ego properties. I got a piece of dirt. All my friends own a storage facility. I want one too. By God, I'm going to do it. I got this dirt and I'm going to do it, with no thought whatsoever to the ramifications of that process or the gambling of those millions of dollars, especially now with the cost of money and the loan being so much more expensive. You have to do some homework first. And in our business, we're lucky to have lots of professionals that do such a great job. But our new people coming in wanting to be this excited new owner, they don't know the difference between a desktop study, a full-on feasibility shop, not a hypothetical unit mix, but your actual unit mix. So those are very key, important pieces. We know a lot of people in the industry who do some good desktop studies. That's great. It'll take a snapshot of the online available data for the marketplace. It can pull probably from some different vendors what's planned or upcoming. But verifying that data, going to the facilities that are in the market that you're wanting to build in person, looking at the attributes that make them different from what you're planning and knowing the difference. If you're one of the REITs and all you're going to do is plop down another 3 or 4 story all climate building with no real anything special, that doesn't take nearly as much work as one that looks at what is the market asking for and willing to pay extra for that nobody is delivering. That's what we want to know. We want to know, well, is anybody giving them office suites or contractor bays or enclosed RV or amenity packages such as a conference room that's available to them 24/7 with technology, or a dump station and a wash bay if it's going to be RV or boat. Customers want amenities that are willing to pay for them at that higher end. So why not make sure you look in person, and not just desktop's a great maybe starting place for some folks, but you're still going to have to go back and do the in-person work. And then you're still going to have to go and do an actual layout and unit mix for your property, not a hypothetical unit mix. That's the difference between a desktop and an in-person study and a full-on feasibility, not just a desktop. You need to know, not just hypothetically, I should put 70,000 feet here, but 70,000 feet of what? Drive up contractor bays on your first level, 10 by 30 exterior access climate control units. There are so many variables in there. The ladies know I could talk about this for days and days, but in an attempt for brevity, answering questions specifically, not just in a hypothetical way, because you want to calculate your return in a specific way, not in a hypothetical way. You want to know, this is going to cost me $12.7 million. It's going to require me to have $685,000 in negative cash to get me through stabilization. That needs to be in my loan plan. But in 5 years, it's going to have a value of $28 million. And you don't get these answers if you don't do the detailed homework. Stacy, wouldn't you agree that's probably the best way to compare those two?
Yeah, absolutely. And just recently, I was kind of shocked at we had a client come across, gave us an offering memorandum for a facility they were looking at purchasing. And being local to the area, I was pretty shocked that the memorandum only had like 4 competition sites on it. And that was outside a 5-mile radius when, being from the local area, there were 8 inside the 5 miles. So we redid the shop and showed those owners what exactly they need to be looking at. And there was a brand new climate control facility nearby that would be a direct competition for their expansion plans at this facility that, they're looking to purchase. So it really is so important that you do your homework and do boots on the ground. Go look at it and see what's really there. Take pictures and, secret shop them. And that's what's involved in our in-person study. So it's just very important to have somebody that's going to do that for you.
Yeah. And a lot gets lost in translation, right? Between in-person and online. So what it looks like online is not necessarily what it looks like in person. It's really hard to rate a facility, classify a facility. What class are we talking about? Is it being run remotely? Is it manless? Is it staffed? If it is staffed, what kind of manager are we talking about? Are they any good? Do they have sales skills? Are they talking to their customers? Are they there when the office hours are stated as being open? All of these things that you're not going to get just from sitting at your computer.
And an important lesson learned is, a facility might be quite old, for example, but it has a choice of going one of two ways. It could stay up with technology, give the best customer service in town, stay up with, the rent and revenue management programs, and continue on a path of improvement every year that would make it a solid B+ or even an A-. Or it could be old, obsolete. It got fully occupied, then the owner just went to sleep. So it might be 100% physically occupied, but it's probably only 25% economic occupancy. They've never had a sale. They don't do any repairs or maintenance. So if you just look at the raw data, this facility was built in 1985, and you haven't been there or seen for yourself, you're not going to know how to classify this one. And they might have the best manager in the world who keeps those customers so happy. That's why they get higher rental rates. You've got to find out.
Yeah, I think that takes us to the next question there too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I wanted to make just one quick comment on that. And people always ask, like, what's the going rate for one of these? I was asked that question by one of my friends the other day, and I said, be prepared to spend around $8,000. And I got the sticker shock look, right? I'm like, do you want to add a couple zeros to that if it doesn't work out in the long run and you just go build this bad boy? Like, spend the $8,000. It's going to save you in the long run. Carl Toohey, who's in the industry, shared a story one time of an owner that he knew that did not go through proper due diligence, didn't see what was in the pipeline for competition. Competition came in, wiped this poor guy out, and he had to sell back to the bank. So let's not have that be you. But moving on, let's see.
Actually, Jessica, if you think about it this way, the return, even if your feasibility study costs you $15,000, and in Ann's example earlier of a $12.7 million build of a brand new facility, that is 0.01% or 0.1%, 1/10% of the entire cost of the build. I mean,
Correct.
That is so worth the investment if you're talking about that much money.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next question that you guys look at is, what do you look for when you shop your competition?
Yeah, so we kind of already talked a lot about this going into this question, but primarily, again, what the facility looks like, what the upkeep is on those facilities, what the unit mix is at those existing facilities, what their occupancy levels are. Again, is it manned or unmanned? What the manager, the staff is like, the location, the visibility. What else, Ann, am I leaving out here?
Well, while I was in Montana this week working, I was reminded of shopping a property that was like 15 or 20 miles out of town when I was getting ready to build this one that we are celebrating the new opening of. And they had all this product that everybody wanted, these huge spaces and everything. And people would drive out there the 20 miles to get these spaces. But when I went in the office, the person, I've smoked, certainly people know that, but this person was smoking cigarettes in the office, like chain smoking. And I mean, even for someone who smoked, it was just like, good God, and the office was tiny, it was dirty. And the person said, well, we're really not here all that much. So You'll just have to wait until we get back if you don't go ahead and lease something today. You know, they didn't have a lot of technology. They had a product everybody wanted, but boy, they sure made it hard to say yes. I mean, it was terrible. So we discounted, of course, the price and value of it. So you're looking for things like, manager, what is it that customers ask you for that you don't have? You know, that's a question I want to ask when I'm shopping, so I can give some unique features. You know, or what do you have a waiting list for? You know, oh, all the big units. Well, that's true everywhere right now. You know, all the big units are full. And just little insights. You want to, how often do y'all raise the rent? Well, as we know, the REITs are going crazy with that. They're doing them, a month after you move in, and then 2 or 3 months again later. It's just wild. Well, that can produce a churn rate. So if you know when you go shop somebody, if they make the claim, oh, well, we hadn't raised our rents in 10 years. Well, you have a very undervalued product here, so you want to know as much as you can. You want to be savvy when you go out and look at the property. Notice how many red locks are on there. And for those of us in the business, we know a red lock means a delinquent unit. Or do you see a lot of just unlocked open doors? Or do you see a lot of unlocked, not open, just no locks at all? Well, no locks at all tells those of us who've done this, they're not controlling their inventory. So they probably have very poor financial results. So for those of us who've done this for a while, there are so many things we're looking at, starting at we look at the website first. Then we look at, does the product really represent the same thing we saw on the website, as Lou mentioned? Then is the door open when they say it'll be open, and the manager there when they say the manager's going to be there? What is that manager's capability? And then we go from there. So it's just a whole list. It's like if you were out looking for a new house and you're shopping, you're kind of noticing how things smell and sound and touch, and your senses are just alive. So keep all those senses going when you're out looking at the competition.
Yeah, and we have a question from the audience from Jake. He's saying, do you have any advice to get those occupancy figures from the competitive stores?
Well, Stacy and I were laughing about this the other day. I have been known to get, and I hate to say it right here live online, but it's true. I have been known to get public storage managers to hand me their vacancy list, which
not
if our
you,
manager
Ann.
did it, we'd probably fire him. But for those of us who've operated for a long time, and I think Stacy used a good story when she was shopping those competitors up in North Georgia the other day. We have our ways of getting the data. But for those of us who've been operating a while, you can drive a property and pretty much guess at what the occupancy is.
Yeah.
How many doors have a customer lock on them? Not talking about the new electronic locks, but the actual customer locks. And how many of those customer locks are overlocked with red? Well, if 80% of the units are full with customer locks, but half of those are red, then you can pretty much ascertain this property is literally less than 50% economic occupied. A lot of great operators, I drive their property, I can hardly even find a single door that is not locked up tight, clean, everything. So you get a good sense of what the occupancies are. And if you're really a naive shopper, you might just say, well, are y'all full? Do you have a lot of those? That's sometimes a good question. You can also look at their website, and if they say only 1 or 2 left of that size, then well, that's a fully occupied size. But the ones that they're giving specials on, or how it's typically done, if it's 2 free months, or as we've seen in some cases, they have a lot of that inventory. So those would be my secrets for ascertaining what the occupancy figures are.
And I think
other than asking.
Yeah, I think it's situational too. If you come across a manager who seems extra eager to give you more information, then you can just ask things. Like I shopped a property the other day, and it was raining, so she didn't want to take me out into the property herself. She said, you could just drive back there. We keep our units unlocked when they're not occupied. And I'm like, oh, so I drove the entire property, but it's a big property. And so she was showing me on her map where the unit was that I was interested in. And I said, oh, can I just take a picture of that? And she let me take a picture of that. So this is their actual occupancy. I mean, you just have to be a little clever and, understand there's certain nuances where you can like slide in a good question or take advantage of naivety, I guess.
I often play the damsel in distress when I'm out there shopping the market and just say, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about self-storage. My husband's just going to kill me. Can I just videotape this so I can show him the side, what the property looks like and where he's going to come in and how far he has to walk? And, can we get in here at 10 o'clock tonight if I sign the lease online? So it's amazing that what they'll let you do if you come up with the right story.
I'm going to start calling you Detective Lou.
Yeah.
The trick of shopping for someone else and needing to take pictures for that person because they're out of state, that always works really well. That was the story I was using this past time.
I love these nuggets. These are like, I love it. I love it. Detective Lou Barnhold and Detective Stacy Maxwell at your service.
I've been called worse.
Well, let's move on to the next question. What is that market willing to pay for, and how can we find what they're willing to pay for? Anne, I'll go to you.
Well, as I mentioned, when we're out shopping the competition, if they, like, for example, in the Sun Belt, if there's no drive-up climate, they're willing to pay extra for that. If there's no contractor bays, and contractor bays are big units, they can't work in them or anything, except in Florida, they have a different scenario where they let them work in them. But a contractor bay is like a 20 by 40 or 20 by 30. And those people tend to rent other spaces and they tend to stay a long time. Enclosed RV, although they bring the lowest income per square foot compared to a climate control unit, they tend to be very sticky and they like other kinds of units also. So if you've got your $3 million motorhome parked inside one of my big RV units, you're probably going to rent some other storage too for your toys and things like that, boats and skidoos and all the other equipment, and even regular and climate control storage. But when it comes to the office suites and the incubator bays, an incubator space is a small office with a storage unit behind it. We have many of those. They lease very well. And our office suites, as long as they have the conference room and business service set up, they bring a nice pretty penny. But don't think, as I saw a very seasoned developer make this mistake here in Atlanta many years ago, don't think you can put in an office suite or a conference room with no windows. Trust me, it's going to sit there empty forever. Those people need glass storefront hallway systems. Those conference rooms have to be visible from a lot of different viewpoints so that people feel that it's open, airy, and safe. Of course, a lot of technology has to go in there. We even let nonprofits use those conference rooms for free during office hours. It's part of our marketing secret sauce. So find out, what are people in this market at this income level not getting that no one else is supplying that I can include in my new property. And let's say you end up having to build a 3 or 4 story single building just because of topography or the way the setbacks work. Well, that's not to say that your first floor can't have some exterior access, contractor bays, or giant drive-up climate units, maybe office fronts with storage in the back of there. There's a lot of ways to keep the cities happy and yet still make that unit mix work. Because
or adding the drive-through on, if you're in an extremely warm climate or an extremely cold climate, to keep folks out of the elements while they're loading and unloading. It also makes for a really great event space in those properties. And it's a very unique offering that most markets don't have.
I love the properties that have that in Florida because it rains just about every day in Florida. Yes. So it's a great feature to have in certain climates. Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. Awesome. All right, let's go to the next one. What should you decide on services and amenities first?
Well, I mean, you want to decide on all the technology that you're going to utilize and put into this property prior to construction, right? Because it's going to cost you so much more to retrofit or add these things after the fact than it will be to do it in the planning stages right from the get-go.
Sure.
And as Lou mentioned, we look at a drive-through building in an extreme temperature market as a real plus. Not only, as Jessica said, to get you out of the weather, but it becomes a huge event space for us that nobody else has. So rain or shine, I can have an indoor yard sale. I can have a drive-through haunted house. I can have a drive-through Easter egg hunt. I can do millions of things to generate traffic to my site. But if I don't plan on that and the business services that go along with it, how am I going to access that? How do customers get in and out? Where am I going to put the bathrooms? Just all of the details. Those have got to be thought out first, before you start mixing units for the upper floors, because it depends on where you're going to give access and how wide those drives need to be, and keeping all my big units on the ground floor, which get the premium price, and not having 10 by 30s on my third floor, that just doesn't make any sense, especially if they're not right next to the elevator. So you've literally got to think like, how would a customer use this product? For example, we don't like to see more than like 125 feet from point of loading to use point. Well, I see stuff that comes in from architects and developers every single day. They've got one elevator in this huge building and the customers are going to be 300 feet. It's just not going to work. You're going to get cold zones in your lease up. So every single thing has to be factored in, and it needs to come from someone who's actually operated storage before. I love architects. As a matter of fact, I have one in my family, and engineers as well. But I don't know a single architect who ever operated a storage facility. So for them to do a proposed unit mix and layout, and they've not done any market research, they've not done a feasibility, they don't know how it operates. Your operator and your architect and all your engineers need to be working in the same path on the same goal, not independent of each other. And we get calls all the time, as Stacy and Lou can tell you, oh, I've got this set of plans and we're 60 days from opening. Can you help me? I'm like, well, first of all, you're a fool for waiting 60 days before opening to get somebody involved and think about these things. And then we're scrambling to try to make things work. Why would you do that? That's such an insult. So I get over my being insulted and get to work. And Stacy and Lou and I, we make it happen. And but they're expensive mistakes. I sat down with the past president of GASA, of our state association here in Georgia, once on one of his building plans. This was many years ago. And in 30 minutes, I saved him $500,000. Well, his architect didn't know those answers. It's Glenn DeCotra. I'm sure y'all remember him. But, you need someone who knows what's going to happen as an operator to get these amenities and services designed into the project from the start.
Also, okay. How are you going to run the store, that facility, right? Are you going to have full-time staff? Or is it going to be partially staffed? What kind of technologies or amenities do you have to put in there to make it operate the way you want it to? If you're putting in a conference room, it has to have after hours access. It has to have keypad access for it to actually work. Make sure that you're not putting the office behind the gates, right? People need to get to the office. Make sure that the electronic gates and the camera systems and the electronic unit locks, if that's the way that you're going to go. Just planning all of that out ahead of time to save yourself a headache afterwards. It's important.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And this next question, Anne kind of just was talking about this with the architects, but who did the unit mix and what research went into that? And you couldn't have said it any better. I don't think I know any architects that have ever ran a self-storage facility. So their idea and concept from a conceptual standpoint on what a unit mix is and what that would look like is probably going to be very different.
Well,
But any other things you want to say related to
well, yeah,
this?
we love the architects in our industry. We love the metal building companies. We rely on them so heavily. And because they're forced by customers to come up with these things and produce them, but it's like asking somebody to work in the blind. We get a lot of drawings from the metal building companies and our door and hallway system companies, that they've been forced to give the customer, because the customer was demanding a unit mix. And then we have to back up and just kind of fix that up and do it over for them. So,
Mhm.
you know, uh, as I said earlier, a diversified research unit mix is customized for each and every property. No two are ever going to be the same. And I've worked on thousands of properties across the entire globe. Well, the northern hemisphere anyway. I don't think I've covered anything. Oh well, Australia, I guess, and New Zealand. So some of the southern hemisphere, but every single store is going to be unique in many ways. So it really has to be developed just for that site.
Well, also sometimes you'll get those plans in from the steel guys or the architects that are really, really heavily padded with those little tiny units because they make for a great performa. They show great on paper, but nobody's going to rent those units.
That's right.
So you're not going to have the lease up rate that you really need. So that's something to think about too.
Well,
Yeah, and that kind of. Go ahead, Ann. Go ahead.
That's what we're saying. This next question is perfect for that because Lou has lived the life, I recall, at her very first property where her owner, because of the pro forma and making it look good for the bank, had 200, I think it was, of these stupid little tiny lockers that in this high-end market she was in, they are never going to lease them. We even tried giving them away. They didn't want them. And they just sit there and take up space and ruin your overall performance. But that diversified unit mix does make for a faster lease up because we know that a ground level drive up climate unit is going to lease, I think, 4 times faster than an interior same size climate unit.
Mhm.
I'm estimating, Stacy, that that's about right, but each one we forecast individually, and I know that Contractor Bay is going to lease up faster than my non-climate units. But it's also going to lease up faster as a percentage, but you would never go in and build your whole property of drive up climate units and contractor bays. A unit mix is like a perfect recipe. It has just the right amount of, for example, 7.5 by 10s. I love those. I think they're a great small unit thing. It has the right mix of 10 by 5s. We're doing probably very little 5 by 5s anymore these days in most of these properties because of the cost of development and the way things are going. But you've got to have some smaller units in there because in the old SSA demand study, 20% of units, I think it was, were leased by the lowest percentage, lowest income stratification that there is, the people who make under $25,000 a year, because they're leasing those very small units, because that's all they can afford. Well, I don't think it was 20%, maybe it was 13%, but it was a big chunk. But you couldn't build all of those because then you couldn't satisfy your upper end group. The highest income brackets are the next biggest leasing group, and they lease the larger spaces. So everything has got to be diversified and fine tuned for that property in that market. But a diversified unit mix does make for a much faster lease up.
And a longer term of stay, right? They
Yes.
stay longer. They come from a
Yeah.
further distance, lease faster and stay longer.
Yeah, the specialty type storage units like the contractor bays, office suites, enclosed RV boat are the stickiest customers and have the longest length of stay. So,
And they give you that unique marketing message as well, too, that really drives the needle there.
yes.
Definitely. All right. 2 things real quick. We did ask a poll question in the comments for the audience. Are you currently developing a self-storage site? If you could just put yes or no in there for us, I would greatly appreciate it. And moving on to the next question, are you taking advantage of topography?
Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah. Topography is the lay of the land. of course. And well, I say of course, I shouldn't say of course. Everybody has to learn this part, but especially here in Georgia, I've got one that I designed that had some steep drop-offs. So that made it perfect for what we call an over-under building. It's accessed on one side up here on the top level and accessed on the other side for the bottom level. Well, that means you're not having to build elevators, and you can have long rows following the topography of the land of over under, maximizing that dirt. It is a little more expensive to build, of course, because you got to support that upper level, but you're taking advantage of the topography. It is important to pay attention to that. For example, I just worked on one up north where for one of Lou's clients, I think it was, where we moved the entrance to the project to the high crest of the main road, so that they'd have great visibility and would be able to see the office and see the gates and see the buildings. But if you didn't take advantage of topography and just were trying to be lean and mean, so to speak, put your office down in the hole on the bottom of the property, nobody's ever going to see it or treat it like it's a functioning business. People want to see that it's active, that they want to see the gates, they want to see the storefront office, to identify those things with self-storage. So yes, pay attention to topography. It could give you some benefits. Dirt work is expensive. So paying attention to those details helps.
Okay, this one. Don't leave the bow off your gift. The finishes make a big difference on how you're perceived in the market. Talk to me about that, Stacy.
Well, this is actually where Anne excels quite a bit. But what we're talking about here are the interior finishes in your property. What are your surfaces made of on your desktops? What, the vertical surfaces, what are you using there? What paint colors are you using? Are you making it look and appear elevated and not just elevated, but also functional? Are these surfaces going to last the test of time? Is it going to be something that's going to get damaged later? What else am I missing, Anne?
Well, it's funny because we like a tiled wall to the ceiling in the bathroom because that way we have an impervious surface that won't have to be replaced because people are smearing blah, blah, blah all over it, or kids with their lollipops or whatever. I can hose that bad boy down and keep going. If I put a porcelain tile floor in the showroom, it's going to wear like iron for 20 years. But if you force me to take the cheap way out and put in carpet squares, in 5 years or less, you're going to be replacing that constantly. You should have gone ahead and just put in the porcelain tile. So everybody on my team knows this is my hot button, but if you take the cheap way out on your bathroom and stick a wall hung sink on a white plastic wall, and that's all you're giving them for the bathroom, well, they're going to treat it like an industrial. That's all you're giving them for a bathroom. And that's about the kind of rent rates you're going to get. We've proven that if you put in a nice looking bathroom, it doesn't have to cost that much. It just needs to look nice. It's got a sink deck and a nice sink and a solid surface countertop, a backlighted Bluetooth mirror, sort of hotel-like. They treat it better. They pay you higher rent. They feel elevated, that they're better cared for than that horrible looking wall hung sink, that they're going to set their baby and their pocketbooks on, and in 2 years it's going to be falling off the wall anyway. Mm-hmm. So if you, like, for example, I don't want them to put a toilet paper holder in my tile wall, and I don't want them to mount a trash bin into my tile wall or a paper towel dispenser. I'm using a floor stand toilet paper dispenser because then it won't ever have to be replacing the tile in the wall, and a nice dispenser for paper towels on the sink deck. So, we're using solid surfaces on our countertops, and we're using decent products and decent colors and thinking about these things ahead of time so that we're building in a long, useful life. And if you leave that bow off, as it says, and just go for the all white, cheapest thing you can find, you're going to be treated that way, and customers will treat it that way. And before long, you're replacing all those things when you would have been much better off to have done a better job in the beginning.
Yeah, it's just the difference of them treating you like a warehouse or treating you like a hotel. And
that's right.
and feeling like they're in a warehouse versus feeling in a nicer hotel. You want them to feel elevated.
Well, like how Ann stated when she walked into that store and the person was chain smoking. Like, long gone are those days, folks, where you have an elderly couple running your property in their fuzzy slippers because they live upstairs. They're in their bathrobe. They're eating tuna fish sandwiches and chain smoking with the soap operas and the TV on the back corner. That's not. These are multi-million-dollar facilities, and you want it to look as such. You know, when people walk into your office and you've got your backlit logo, you've got your flat screen TVs, you're showing all of the cameras. We have built-in coffee bars, you know, hydration stations, snack bars, cookie ovens, all of this stuff. Folks walk in and they're like, holy cow, this is a storage facility. I love this place. You know, you want it to be something where they feel comfortable, they feel safe. I feel comfortable allowing my 20-something-year-old daughter to store there, or, you know, my college age son, whatever it is, or myself as a female. You know, I want to feel safe and secure wherever I'm going. So just adding all of these little perfect touches, like Ann states, is just going to elevate your property and get to those rent rates that you're looking for.
Yeah, I saw one for sale the other day online, and their office, it was like an A-frame structured office, and it had like a farmhouse feeling to it when you walked in, the modern, you know, lighting and everything. And I mean, that's going above and beyond. But I'm just looking at the photos, I'm like, I want to live there. So I mean, if you can create that environment where they, like you said, Lou, they feel safe and comfortable and welcomed when they walk in, the conversion rate to getting them to, you know, actually rent with you is probably going to be way higher than if, you know, you walk into the chains smoking tuna fish eating.
You want your local business folks to come and get storage with you and work in your business station and utilize your conference room and, you know, utilize your laptop stations within the office and feel comfortable bringing clients there that they're going to meet with. You know, that's what we're putting all of these features into these properties for, to kind of draw that type of clientele. So you've got to design for what you're looking to serve.
The more useful the facility is to those businesses, the longer they're going to rent with you. And the same goes for tenants as well. They use it as a lifestyle tool as opposed to just another closet.
And as far as building your brand, the more they're going to refer other people, right? If you give them what they need and what they want and they're happy, then they're going to refer your business to others.
Yeah, I'll make one final comment while we're talking like aesthetics here before we move on to this. And Stacy, I'll drive this to you because you love brand awareness and marketing. RK in the industry, he had a facility and they had studied the local market so densely that he found out that it was, you know, a very wealthy market with women that wanted to store like their finer things, and he actually built cedared like closet type units for them to be able to come in there and store their extra Louis Vuitton bags and stuff like that. Again, this is why it's so situational and you need to be doing the due diligence and the market studies. But when he did that market study, it, you know, he concurred, like, I could definitely put this in here and they would rent, and they did. And they stayed rented, and because all those little ladies run in little circles of other little ladies that have a lot of Louis Vuitton bags too. So it's like the word got out. He like needed more cedar closets. Again, exception, you know, not necessarily the rule all the time, but something cool to say. And actually, let's do this question real quick from the audience before we go to you, Stacy, talking about brand awareness. This is from Eric. Would your company conduct a full feasibility study on an existing facility? If you do, what is the turnaround time and what is the approximate cost?
Ann, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I'm typing in the answer now. Yes, of course we could. That's a little unusual to do on an existing facility. They take about 60 to 90 days. I'm typing all this in now, so you have a record of the answer. But for an existing store, let me hit the enter button. For an existing store, what we do more commonly for this person, and thanks for asking, is a full evaluation of the existing operation. And I've done these around the world. And let me tell you, Jessica, do you know Dean Moody from England? He does a great podcast series. Well, I did my review of his operation for him, and I think we made him a bundle of money. So it's possible to kind of like a feasibility, but looking at the existing operation to see, you know, what is needed. And then as far as what does that cost, Well, I've done them as little as 1 or 2 days on site, just evaluating as much as I could, as fast as I could, and then tag their it. They have to take all the notes as we're spouting off all the answers, and that could be 3 to 5 grand, up to an ongoing quarterly program. So those are customized based on what that customer really wants to find out and how in depth they want us to go. But it could be scratch the surface, or it could be an ongoing thing. I hope that answers the question.
And I think we can add a comp shop to that too, to see
Yeah.
what the competitive landscape is out there, and pull permits, see what else is coming, what you might need to make adjustments to your operations for as well.
That's true. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, ladies, moving on. And again, I'll turn this over to Stacy real quick. Building your brand awareness starts months before you're open. What does that mean, Stacy?
Well, you've got to start, as soon as you decide that you want to build a self-storage facility, and we start doing the feasibility study, and it turns out that it's a go. Okay, so then that's when it starts. As soon as you get the go ahead and start breaking ground, you need to start figuring out what kind of brand you want to present to this marketplace. And that starts with research. You've got to do some research in the market area and create a brand that's going to stand out in your market, that's different than every other one, because it needs to be memorable to your market. It needs to enforce trust and stability. It needs to be easily recognizable as a self-storage facility as well. So getting that brand started, getting that logo design, and picking your colors is very, very important to get started as soon as you get the go ahead to build. And then, the rest of it just comes down to marketing tactics. After you have your brand built, you want to start with a website that you need to launch at least 45 days before you have your grand opening. Like before you open your door and rent your first unit, you need to let your website be built and have the internet search engines be crawling it so that you have traction. So you're going to come up in search results as soon as you open your doors. You need to work with a reputable company to do your website that's preferably already in storage. The reason for that is your website needs to be completely functional. You need to be able to do reservations and rentals online. In order to do that, you have to have an API into the management software that you're using. Those APIs cost a lot of money. So if you're working with a website company that is already in the self-storage industry, they've got existing APIs on several of the software. So you're not going to have to pay out of pocket for that for your nephew who lives in your sister's basement, who knows how to do websites. That's not the guy you want to go with. You want to go with a reputable company. The website needs to be fully functional. It needs to be intuitive. It needs to be well designed and display your brand properly as well. That's a huge part of your marketing. And then, you get your website built and get that launched, and go ahead and start doing some in-market marketing as well. Maybe you want to do an every door direct mail postcard send out with the United States Postal Service. That's very inexpensive. It drops the cost per postage to about 20 cents per item as opposed to 50 cents per item. And you can actually blanket the entire market area by picking routes. So EDDM with Postal Service, send out some postcards saying coming soon or grand opening specials, send a couple of waves of that out there in your market. Signage is very important. You want to definitely put a coming soon sign on site as soon as you have the ability to do so, and make sure that stays updated. If it gets hit by a car or like blown over by the wind or whatever, fix it. Don't let it go, turn bad. I passed by a couple of those just recently where there's a coming soon sign that the wind blew it down and they just left it. It's been like that for months. And it's like, so is it really coming, or did you just put that sign up and forget about it? So make sure people know that you care and keep that up there. And signage of the facility itself, you want to be planning that as you're planning your build and getting your drawings and everything done. You need to pull the local permits to see what's permissible in your area for the amount of signage you can put, and go ahead and start planning for that as well. Get with the sign company. The last thing you want to do is not put the signage that says, your brand and this is self-storage on the building. Because the locals are going to be watching this building going up, and they're going to wonder what it is. If it's not readily apparent, then, especially if it's a fully enclosed climate control building, you want to make sure you put storage up there, big and bold. So they know what it is, self-storage. And then, you can go ahead and before opening, you can start your social media pages and build some awareness there, get people to follow, get out there in your local market area and do visits to the local businesses, letting them know that you're coming along, ask them to follow you and share on social media as well. Get with your Chamber of Commerce to get on the calendar for a grand opening ribbon cutting event. And you don't want to do that on the day you actually open. You want to do that about 60 days after you open so that you can work out all the kinks, if there's any operational issues that might come into play. And then, get involved in your community and make sure that they know that you're coming along, and pay for referrals. A robust referral program is one of the best marketing tactics you can have as far as grassroots goes, especially. So
get that priority wait list going too, right, Stace?
Yes.
So maybe hopefully you'll have 100 people on that list before you even open the door, and you're pre-leasing as you're going.
Yeah, as soon as you have your set finalized unit mix, you can go ahead and get your management software and get all of your units set up in your management software. And then when you publish your website 45 days before opening, you can set your website for reservations only, not rentals. So you can start building your unit mix or your priority waiting list that way as well. So as soon as your doors open, you can say, all right, Mr. Jones, come rent your unit. We're ready, and immediate occupancy you can start building that way. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that, Stacy. Ladies, did you have anything you wanted to add in on the marketing that Stacy touched on?
No, we could talk for days on this very subject alone. We're trying to behave ourselves and not inundate your audience with too much stuff.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. And audience members, we have about 4 or 5 more minutes left with the ladies. So if you have any questions for them while we have them here related to development, if you are developing currently a self-storage facility, now is your time. If not, and you want to get in touch with Universal Storage Group for third-party management, or for them to do some consulting with you or help you with your management training program, this is your team to reach out to. They have some really great services and programs for you all. So again, ladies, thank you so much for being here with us today. We greatly appreciate it. The audience is being quiet today. Maybe they were rookies yesterday because we wore them out on rookies. So they might be worn out with information and questions at this point. But this is a really great presentation. And I will see all of you next week. And while we're on that topic, ladies, tell us where your booth is next week and how we can find you at the National Self-Storage Association Conference and Trade Show that will be in Washington, D.C. next week.
Booth number 624. Come one, come all. We're going to have some great giveaways. And then we're speaking, now I'm not going to know. Was it Wednesday that we're speaking? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've got a roundtable too during the roundtables about marketing using AI and marketing efforts too. But our speaking topic is going to be a good one, Lou.
Yep.
Tell them.
So we're going to talk about whether you're operating your property remotely or it's fully manned, what the differences are there, and really what you need to do to make sure that everything is successful, no matter how you're doing it. So we're going to talk about a lot of things that folks should be doing and make sure that they understand and know how and where to go to get the information and to make sure that they're successful if they're going to be running, hybrid, remote, or fully manned.
Yep.
I think I'm speaking at the Women's Council meeting for a few minutes.
What's that?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'll be speaking for a few minutes at the Women's Council. So ladies, come on to the Women's Council meeting.
Yeah. All the ladies that are out there, and congratulations to Stacey for making the board of directors for the Women's Council. Yay. She's going to be introduced next week, which we're so excited about. So if you are a lady in the industry, we would love to see you at the Women's Council events. Ladies, I can't wait to see you all next week. The SBOA got off the hook for speaking this go around. We don't have any speaking obligations, which I'm kind of fortunate and thankful for after coming off the Florida conference, but we will be at booth 817. You can come visit with us there and learn about our products and services that we offer to the industry. And again, if you saw that earlier commercial, if you are an SBOA Enhanced member, you will receive an invite to our private event that we're having, a networking event at Bobby McKee's on Wednesday evening. If you're not a current Enhanced member, you can become one today for just $9.99 a month. All of the information for that is in our newsletter out on our website, so please visit that. information and register if you're not. And we can't wait to see everyone next week who is coming live. I hope everyone has a great rest of their afternoon. We will be back for another Self-Storage Unlocked on March 21st. We have a little bit of a break because we have the national conference next week, and then we have a Storage for Rookies week. So we won't be back until March 21st for another Self-Storage Unlocked. And that one is called Just Answer the Phone. Ladies, who wants to say how critical it is to answer the
Pretty
phone?
important. Pretty important.
It costs a lot of money in the marketing effort. Get that phone to ring. It costs a lot of money to get that phone to ring. You better answer it. Yeah. What were you about to say, Lou?
Sure does.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You're spending, calculate how much you're spending to have that phone ring each time it rings, and make sure that you're answering it and you're answering it correctly. And you're getting all of the information that you need and giving the caller all of the information that they need to make a educated decision.
And that's not just the price. There's so much more that you can give them. I'm excited for that session. It's going to be great.
That's going to be a good one. Yeah. And if you can't answer the phone, what's your backup plan? Call center service, something.
Yep.
Please don't send it to voicemail or an answering machine. Those things are outdated. And if they have to leave you a message, guess what? They're calling your competitor and they're renting from them. So it's very critical that we answer the phone. So again, that one's on March 21st. Ladies, thank you again for being here so much. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. Audience, take care. We'll see you back. Yeah, absolutely. Stay tuned for our final commercial. We'll be back on March 21st. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Jess.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Do you ever think about your future and where you'd like to spend the most time as you get older? And the most important question that comes to you is, how can I get there? If you're seeing this video, then likely you've heard about what a great investment self-storage can be, so you start looking into it. You spend hours learning about self-storage and you start to glean some great advice, but also you identify some major issues and questions that you need to answer. If you're brand new to this industry, you may be hearing and seeing so much information that you're feeling confused, frustrated, and maybe even ready to pull your hair out. Well, let Universal Storage Group help you navigate these waters to help fund your future paradise. Though we recently unveiled our new branding and look, Universal has been around for over 30 years, providing fewer headaches and higher income to our clients, trust and peace of mind to our storage customers, and education and improved quality of life to our amazing team members. Our services include award-winning full-service management, award-winning consulting services, award-winning manager and owner training, and award-winning developmental services and feasibility studies. When we say what we do for you, we really mean it. At Universal, we are a family looking out for one another from the bottom up. We feel that being the biggest has never really been our goal, but being the best, well, that's what drives every member of our team. With Universal, you just get more. Check us out online at universalstoragemanagement.com or reach out directly by emailing sales@universalstoragegroup.com. We're ready when you are, because what we do for you.